The prototype. The tragedy of Michael Myers. Peter Myers had always prided himself on being a salesman, a provider. His job took him across Illinois, sometimes beyond, sealing deals with companies looking to push their products into homes and lives. It was during one of these business trips that he met an eccentric Irishman named Connell Cochran, the enigmatic owner of Silver Shamrock novelties. Cochran was charismatic, his smile unwavering, his enthusiasm infectious. He presented Peter with what he called Silver Shamrock's very first Halloween costume, their prototype. It was a child's clown suit, bright red and yellow, stitched with meticulous craftsmanship. But what truly caught Peter's attention was the mask. Its white plastic held an eerie stiffness, its painted-on clown face frozen in something that felt almost sinister. Cochran assured him that this was just the beginning. "Our costumes," he had said, "will change Halloween forever." Peter thought nothing of it, believing it a simple act of generosity. When he returned home, he gave the clown costume to his son, Michael. Michael had always been a kind and quiet boy, obedient and sweet-natured. He was delighted by the gift, slipping into it immediately. It felt good. It felt right. Then came Halloween night. Judith had abandoned babysitting her little brother in favor of a visit from her boyfriend. As Michael sat in the darkened living room, wearing the clown costume, waiting for her to finish upstairs, a jingle played on the radio. "Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Silver Shamrock." The tune was catchy, hypnotic, the kind of melody that wormed its way into the mind. But for Michael, it did something else. His fingers twitched against the wooden handle of the knife he had fetched from the kitchen. His vision blurred, red creeping into the edges of his sight. A whisper, no, a command, curled through his thoughts like smoke. Kill. Something ancient awoke within him. Michael stood in the dark as Judith's boyfriend left. Then he moved up the stairs, blade in hand. On the floor, he found the clown mask. Methodically, he put it on and completed the transformation, killing young Michael. Judith's humming echoed through the hallway, but when she turned to face him, her humming died. Confusion flashed in her eyes, then fear. "Michael," she whispered. The first slash was clumsy. The next was more certain. By the time he was done, Judith was dead, her lifeless body on the floor. Michael stepped out onto the front porch, knife still clutched in his small fingers, and waited. When Peter and his wife returned home, the flashing police lights painted their house in eerie red and blue. Officers surrounded the front yard, their faces grim. But what made Peter's blood turn to ice was Michael, standing in the driveway, silent, expressionless. The costume clung to him, the fabric darker now, soaked with the last remnants of innocence lost. "Michael," Peter called, stepping toward his son. Michael's gaze lifted to meet his father's, but the eyes staring back at him were not those of his child. They were vacant, hollow. Something else looked through them now, something cold, ancient, and hungry. The boy he had raised was gone, his son. It wore his face, bore his form, but Michael was gone, forever. Cochran's words echoed in his mind. "This is our prototype, and it is very, very special. If your son reacts to it the way we hope, we will change Halloween forever." Panic clawed at Peter's throat. He tore through his belongings, searching, until his fingers closed around Cochran's business card. Something wasn't right. Then he remembered the radio jingle for Silver Shamrock. It had played just as he drove home. He hadn't thought much of it at the time, but now the strange jingle felt insidious, calculated. Why would a California company that only had a prototype for a Halloween costume play an ad on Halloween night in Illinois? Something was wrong. Desperate, Peter rushed to the authorities, to Dr. Loomis, anyone who would listen. But his words came out in frantic gasps, the desperate ramblings of a broken man trying to make sense of an unimaginable horror. No one believed him. But Peter couldn't let it go. He had to find Cochran. He had to know what had been done to his son. His search led him to the depths of Silver Shamrock's operations. What he discovered chilled him to his core. The costume Michael had worn was no ordinary costume. It was the first of its kind, a prototype imbued with ancient druidic magic, a sliver of Stonehenge buried within its fabric. Its purpose was singular and horrifying: to transform innocent children into instruments of slaughter, resurrecting the ancient rites of Samhain through blood sacrifice. But Peter was too late. As he was going through the documents, learning about the costume, he heard the screams of his wife. Before he could turn, a gloved hand covered his face with a chloroform rag. Peter fell unconscious. Peter would never be able to expose the truth. Days later, his car was found mangled in a ravine, his wife beside him. A tragic accident, the authorities said. Another loss in a town already cursed with sorrow. But Cochran wasn't finished. The prototype had worked too well. Michael had become something more. A perfect killer. Something beyond human understanding. Managing one force of pure evil was dangerous. So Cochran and his company altered their approach. No longer would the costume create killers. Instead, the masks to come would turn the children into victims, sacrifices for the old gods. But Michael was already out there, a product of their first experiment. A living nightmare with a body that never stopped, a mind devoid of conscience, and an evil that could not be contained. By the time Dr. Chalice unraveled Silver Shamrock's plans and Cochran met his fiery end, the truth of Michael Myers' creation was buried with him. Only the legend remained, whispered in the dark corners of Haddonfield. A boogeyman, a force of nature, the first and only prototype, and the night he came home would never end.